Hey, in this video I'm talking about Umberto Lenzi. I'm going to show you some of my Umberto Lenzi Blu-rays, and I'm going to start with Eyeball. Now that's a crazy film. This is from 75. It's a giallo. It's one of Lenzi's last thrillers, maybe the final one. And it stars John Richardson from Black Sunday, and there is also Martin Brochard, and there is Ines Pellegrini, and there are actors in supporting parts like Fulvio Mingozzi shows up, and then there is Jorge Rigo or Georges Rigaud, who's in almost every giallo if it's a Spanish co-production. And there are a few more familiar faces you might know in this film. The cool thing about Eyeball is the killer wearing this bright red raincoat and red gloves, and sometimes he has his hood up, and in one scene the killer also has like red plastic wrapped around their face or something, so that was quite an unusual costume for the giallo killer. It's a film set in Barcelona, and there is this group of American Canadian tourists going around visiting some tourist attractions, and there is a killer among them, so one by one they end up stabbed through the eye and missing eyeballs, hence the American title Eyeball. The original Italian title is longer and more confusing. And the German title you see on this cover here, it's Labyrinth of Red Death. So there you are. It's definitely style over substance. There is very little substance to Eyeball. I think as far as story and plotting goes, it's the thinnest of Umberto Lenzi's thrillers. But it's one of the more entertaining ones because it's just so damn crazy. There is just so much insanity in Eyeball. I'm not going to dwell on it, but let's just say there are situations which are so amusing, they are almost surreal. John Richardson plays the male lead, and he's fairly wooden. He looks occasionally freaked out, but most of the time he looks stone-faced. He's a good-looking man, but I wouldn't say he really projects any particular emotion in this movie, so he's quite English, I guess, quite reserved, a bit too reserved for this kind of, you know, over-the-top Umberto Lenzi fare. Martine Brochard, the French actress, she fares a bit better, even though her role is limited. There is a grand music score by Bruno Nicolai, if I'm not mistaken. It's wonderful. The opening theme tune, it's magnificent. One of the film's biggest assets. In terms of style, in terms of visual style, it's a widescreen film, so it's in Techniscope, I guess. It makes it look kind of stylish, but the camera moves themselves are quite limited. It's mainly just camera on tripod with an occasional zoom here and there. There are a few tracking shots, but for a giallo that's not the most sumptuous films of all times, but nevertheless the framing is nice, locations are interesting, there are some wild, colorful 70s fashions, sunglasses. Martine Brochard gets to wear some cool sunglasses. There are some shirts, some polyester shirts. Especially on this Blu-ray, the colors are really dialed up. It's a beauty to behold. But there are more stylish films out there. Anyway, from Umberto Lenzi, do we really expect like a masterpiece in terms of fluid, sinuous cinematography? Not necessarily. Some of Lenzi's films are more stylish than others, but in general, I think his visual style is relatively plain. He likes steady, just static shots. He likes zooms and an occasional dolly shot here and there, but he doesn't really go over the top experimenting. Certainly not in Eyeball, but there is still some visual motif present in Eyeball which gives the film its identity. I think it's a slightly more low-budget thriller compared to previous numerous gialli Lenzi has helmed, but it almost doesn't show because it's an enthusiastic film. I think they shot it very quickly. I don't think it was like a lavish production, lavish long shoot, but the film is fun and it enjoys decent reputation among fans because it's just so crazy, and the final reveal is quite insane. I always end up laughing when the killer is revealed, but I'm not saying it's funny, but there is something about it which I just find insane, basically. I find it insane, right? So that's Eyeball, a film you have to see. Probably Lenzi's craziest thriller and one of the final gialli he helmed. And let's move on to another giallo. This is my personal favorite. Spasmo, starring Robert Hoffman, Suzy Kendall, Adolfo Lastretti, Ivan Rasimov, and Guido Alberti. A wonderful, stylish film which is really low on violence. It's a real antidote to people going on how Lenzi is just a hack making violent films. Yes, he's made his share of crude films which just trade in violence and little else. I'm not going to mention those here. But this year's Spasmo is his finest achievement as far as subtle thrillers go. It's a beauty in terms of photography. It was shot by, I think it was Guglielmo Mancori, if I'm not mistaken, who's an underrated Italian DOP who also would go on to shoot Lucio Fulci's Manhattan Baby in the 80s. So it's beautiful widescreen framing. There is an excellent number of sequences where both color and camera movement really contribute to make Spasmo look a lot more lavish and expensive than it probably was. It's a film where I would say Lenzi was a visual stylist, judging from Spasmo. There are some other films in Lenzi's extensive filmography where I would say he's not much of a visual storyteller at all, but you know, he made so many films under very different conditions for very different production companies. Let's get back to Spasmo. It's a story of Christian, played by Robert Hoffman, and he's haunted by this kind of a trauma, and there is dead bodies popping up everywhere he goes. He's this rich industrialist, and he's on the run. There is a hitman after him, played by Adolfo Lastretti. It's very colorful. There is people zooming around in 1970s cars. There are yacht parties. There is gorgeous scenery shot in some picturesque Italian locations. I love the final reveal. I didn't see it coming, so the film definitely worked for me. I just love the Morricone music. It complements the film so well. It's this underlying sadness and certain unease coupled with the sweetness, which Morricone was so good at blending those contrasting feelings. There is an excellent supporting part for Ivan Rasimov, who plays the main character's elder brother, and he's actually got a small part, but it really is important and crucial to the film's structure. I just can't get enough of Spasmo. I saw it a number of times, and even though I know the final reveal, I think the film still manages to captivate me every time, basically, because it's just so harmonious. I think some of Umberto Lenzi's films can be a little bit crude and rushed and a little bit too square maybe, but this isn't the case here. It's one of his more gentle and almost poetic films. So thumbs up for Spasmo, my favorite Umberto Lenzi thriller. There is just one line in this film which is a bit, it doesn't look good today anymore, where basically there are some sexist remarks. It's a product of its time, so yeah, be warned if you're a younger generation, this might upset you, but it's an old movie meant for, general consumption from a very different time. Yeah. The beauty of Spasmo also lies that it's a film of its time. It's like a period piece. It's a capsule of the 70s. And there are some visual touches there which are just, for Lenzi's standards, are pretty extraordinary. So definitely recommend it. Now let's move on to the 1980s, and I've got Lenzi's probably most celebrated film of the era. Nightmare City, aka City of the Walking Dead. It's a film like no other. Really, really mad. It introduces the whole running zombie phenomenon. It stars Hugo Stiglitz, the Mexican stone-faced actor who basically is incredibly wooden and at the same time immensely watchable in the way he postures in front of the camera. The main female part goes to Laura Trota, who I've only ever seen in this movie, and I think she might have done something for Alberto De Martino some years later. It was a Spanish-Italian co-production, so most of it was shot in and around Madrid, I believe. Nightmare City is basically so nuts. It's an action film. It's more like a war film at times, or like a disaster film. It's all about these mutants. They erupt out of an airplane and they start slaughtering people. You know, they all look like, you know, somebody took a crap on them. They have that kind of brown, disgusting thing smeared over their faces. And there is lots of action. There are some gunshot violence. There are lots of blades there and machetes and things like that. And there is people throwing Molotov cocktails. And there are some grenades. The action keeps shifting from hospital to a TV studio to like a big amusement park, and then they're on the road. There is a church. There's a showdown with a zombie priest. It's basically really like Nightmare City epitomizes in many ways 1980s straight-to-video trash horror movies, because it's insane. There is a small supporting part by Mel Ferrer, who never participates in any of the gory stuff. He just has his own little subsection of the movie where he wears this military uniform and he stands around in this set and points at the maps and says, well, the zombies took over this plant, the zombies took over that part of town. So he basically charts the zombies' progress, and it's pretty hilarious because he looks mildly bored throughout, and he never interacts with the rest of the movie where all hell breaks loose. There is also Francisco Rabal, who is this legendary actor. He was in Belle de Jour, he was in Antonioni's Eclipse, and then Francisco Rabal ends up in Nightmare City. He's visibly aged. He has a small but cool part in Nightmare City, and then many years later he would end up also acting for Stuart Gordon in Dagon, which was his final acting part. Nightmare City is basically so important for 1980s Italian cinema. It's one of the milestones. It's, I guess that you could always name those four movies: Burial Ground, Hell of the Living Dead, Nightmare City, and what's the fourth one? Well, Zombie Holocaust, right? So it's one of the four great trashy classics from early 1980s from Umberto Lenzi. I can't make up my mind about Umberto Lenzi. Depending on which film of his I'm watching, sometimes I'm frustrated with him. Sometimes I think he's got just no heart at all, that he's a heartless man, just a completely just a hack. And there are days when I think the guy's a poet and he was a gentle soul behind all that, furious mask which he liked to put on, because he's famous for his temper. I miss Umberto Lenzi. I think he was a phenomenon in his own way. He's made some terrible films, he's made some very strange comments in his interviews, but I think he was important. He loved cinema, that's for sure, and he was busy. And once he stopped making movies, he also wrote a number of thrillers. He wrote a number of detective novels. So in Italy you can buy a giallo written by Umberto Lenzi these days, So what an amazing career. Thanks for watching. That's my Umberto Lenzi collection.